I tend to use my hands a lot, so I don't want to knock this thing down, but I just wanted to say thank you for having me here tonight. I appreciate you inviting me. And what I would like to do is just tell you a little bit about the experience that I had in corporate America, if you would like to call it that, but really kind of where it started, where the origins of my career started. I started very young. I started working at 5 years old, if you want to call it working. My parents became missionaries when I was very young, so at the young age of 5, I started knocking on doors and preaching to people. Of course, older people, young people, people of all types. But they also taught us a lot about how to talk to people. I mean, they would grade us on how we communicated, how we addressed the group. But when I was 12, our family moved from Freeport, Texas, where I only knew English. English was my first language. But we went to an island off of the Pacific coast of Colombia in South America. And on this island, well, it was 99% African Latin. So I had never seen a black person speak Spanish before. I didn't speak Spanish, so you can imagine the impact that made on me, trying to learn a second language. But when I was there, after we'd been there several years, all of the family started working. In addition to doing missionary work, we also had to finance our own way. Our mission was not a paid-for mission, so we had to finance our own way. And all of us became English teachers, from my parents and my oldest 3 brothers. The 2 youngest ones went to school. So at our house, you know, we had to have a dictionary always sitting in the middle of the table, because we would always get into arguments about the correct grammar in English. So I was learning English the proper way, I guess, as a teacher, and I was also learning Spanish at the same time. Someone mentioned earlier, says, but you don't have an accent in Spanish. I said, I don't have one in English either. And it's just because I learned it at the same time. But, you know, it gave me a lot of experience in learning a new language, but also learning the way people lived differently. To me, that was such an impactful thing to realize and experience. This island was, you were practically in a jungle. I mean, I got malaria twice. My dad got malaria. You know, we got a lot of illnesses because we didn't have free-flowing water. We had to catch water on the roof and run it down with bamboo into the kitchen and boil everything. But learning to deal with the people, the way they lived, learning not to compare the way I lived in the United States to the way they lived, both of all socioeconomic levels. I mean, when we would preach to the rich people as well as to the poor people. So, and we would preach to young people as well as old people. So we had to communicate on many different levels. And I think that was one of the things that taught me in how to deal with people and to build relationships. In building relationships, you have to learn to appreciate other people's opinions, other people's ways of doing things, in addition to the language. The language is only one of them. It's just the first one. But I learned to deal with the public, with my peers, with my superiors, and eventually with customers. So building that relationship, or learning how to build that relationship, it took really 2 qualities. One was learn how to treat people with dignity and how to treat people with respect. When you can respect why someone does something the way they do it, you have a better understanding, as opposed to, well, this is the way I do it. You know, we always think we do everything the right way. Well, we don't. Sometimes there are many different ways and better ways than the way we're used to doing them. Even amongst the Latino culture, amongst the Hispanic culture, which one of the things that I did for Continental was put together their marketing campaign for the U.S. Hispanic market as well as for the Latin American market. Now, it was a lot easier for me, having lived in a U.S. Hispanic home, as well as learning how to live in a Latin American home, a South American home. We were there for many years, so I learned a lot about the different, not only the Colombian culture, but we'd also go to Venezuela, we'd go to Ecuador, we'd go to Peru, we'd go to some of the other countries, and learning how people from each different region, I mean, there are people that are here from different parts of Mexico, some from the norte, from Tampico, there are some people from further south. Even in places like Mexico, you got the Regiomontano who thinks one way. You know, even at what time he eats at between 12 and 1 there. You go a little bit further south, Mexico City, 2:30, 3 o'clock is lunchtime. So that's just within the same country. Now, when you look at beyond countries, there are a lot of things that we have that are similar. One of the things is language, a lot of the values that we have, religion, family, deep family roots, which is something hard for the Anglo market to understand, is how deep our family roots are. You know, having dinner with the family all together is not just a Thanksgiving or Christmas event. You know, why are they all gathered in one place? You see, whenever you see a big group, they're probably Latinos, you know, because they have big families. But that's part of the culture. But even as you go from country to country, and I'm going to give you just a couple of things that you probably don't take in an everyday comment, but if you look at the way people dress in Mexico City versus the way people dress in Panama, versus the people dress in Bogota, versus in Argentina, very different. A lot of it has to do with the climate, whether it's tropical or non-tropical, up in the mountains, in the sierras, or down in the valleys. A lot of it has to do with that. If you look at just the hats from Latin America, the Panamanian hat with it flipped up here, and the Peruvian hat that has the pointy deal and the deals that hang down, because it's cold there. But we don't drink a lot of the same things. I mean, not everybody drinks tequila, especially at lunchtime. Mexico City, you can have a tequila at lunchtime. I still like to do it, even here. But when I do that, people look at me, oh, you're going to start drinking tequila so early in the day? Yeah, oh, just one, you know, just one. It's an aperitivo, you know, so I'm just going to have just to wake up my senses here a little bit.